Hey guys, so for today's video I have an eyeshadow do's and don'ts. I'm so excited for this video because ever since I did my makeup do's and don'ts, I got a lot of requests for a specific eyeshadow do's and don'ts, so that way I can go more into depth than what I did in that video. But I will leave that video linked down below just in case any of you guys are interested in any of the other steps of my makeup. When it comes to doing these videos, my main goal is really just to help anyone out there who wants to learn a couple tips and tricks on how I personally like to do my eye makeup. The wonderful thing about makeup is that it's totally personal preference and it washes off at the end of the day, so it doesn't have to be taken that serious. You can totally do whatever makes you feel confident and whatever makes you feel beautiful. If you guys are interested in checking out my eyeshadow do's and don'ts, then just keep on watching. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is going to be the do side and this is going to be the don't side. So for the do side, my number one thing that I literally always do is apply a primer. A primer is amazing because it's going to make sure your eyeshadow lasts all day, doesn't crease, and it's also really good if you have oily eyelids because it's going to keep your eyelids matte. So you also want to immediately set your eye primer with some powder. This is going to mattify it. It's also going to help the texture of it become super smooth, so that eyeshadows you put on afterwards will just blend perfectly right on top of it. So now for the don't side, the worst thing you could do, trust me, is not apply any primer at all. Like I said, your eyeshadow will last so much longer with primer, so without it, your eyeshadow is gonna crease, it's gonna get kind of oily, it's gonna eventually fade off throughout the day, so definitely a don't in my book. So I always like to start off with a really nice transition shade. This shade is pretty much exactly what it's called, transition. So it's going to help other shades transition into it, pretty much. You're gonna get that really nice gradual fading ombre kind of effect, as opposed to just having bam, one color straight just put in there. So I like to go ahead and just take it, pop it right in there in windshield wiper motions, and sometimes you can even do circular motions. And trust me, it will just blend super smoothly. So now onto the don't side. One of the biggest mistakes you can make is just going straight in with a crease color instead of putting a transition down first. It's gonna look very harsh and not blended. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip the transition that I did on the don't side and go right in with the crease color that I'm gonna use. No primer, and just pop it right into the crease. So back onto the do side, I'm going to add a second transition shade. This is something that I do sometimes, again, just to add to the kind of ombre, really flawlessly blended effect look. You want to make sure you're applying your brush really light-handedly. You don't want to like apply too much pressure, or else the product that's on the brush is going to stick in one place and it's going to be really hard to blend out. So I'm going to switch over to a little bit of a slimmer brush. As you can see, the first brush that we used for the crease is a lot fluffier, and this one just has a little bit more precision. And I'm just going to apply that directly into the crease, again in windshield wiper motions and circular motions. You do want to make sure you start blending at the outer corner of your eye, just because the place that you first place your brush is where the most product is going to lie. So you don't want to just bam go smack in the middle, because then you're going to have the most product right in the center of your eye. So I always start at the outer corner and then work it to the middle and then the inner corner. Now sometimes what I will also do is switch over to a brush that is definitely more tapered. I'll take the same latte shade and do the same exact step. You're just going to get a little bit more precision and a little bit more product with this brush. So when I was kind of a beginner in eye makeup, I remember one of the hardest things that I found personally to do was adding outer corner shades. Like, I just never could master applying an outer corner shade and having it look really blended. One of my biggest tips for mastering an outer corner is applying a little bit of product first. When you're working with such a dark color, I like to literally only take a tiny bit on the brush because I prefer to build it up gradually as opposed to just bam, putting on so much product at first, because the problem with doing that is it's going to be really hard to blend out afterwards. So one problem I always had with outer corner is it always looked like I just had bam, a circle there. So a thing you can do to kind of avoid that is take the same brush with just a little bit of leftover product and pretend as if you're kind of putting it in the crease a little bit. Because that's going to help take it from, whoa, she has an outer V, to making it look like it's just kind of more flawless. And you can also just go in it and full on do some circular motions. So now for the don't side, we're going to go in for the outer corner shade, and you're going to put way too much product at first and it's going to be super hard to blend out. What this is going to do is just give you more of a circle look, like it's going to look like, bam, that's an outer corner. instead of being more gradual and blended. A big mistake you can make as well is not even bother blending. I mean, obviously that's sort of an obvious tip nowadays since blending is very highly preached, but I feel like this wouldn't be an eyeshadow do's and don'ts video if I don't stress that not blending is really bad. Something I always like to do as well is go ahead and just take the clean fluffy brush and just go over everything. Like, it can't hurt to go over one more time and blend. Okay, so I just realized that my autofocus was randomly off for the past few minutes. I'm so sorry. I'm pretty sure that the last couple clips I just filmed were probably out of focus at some parts. I'm so sorry, guys. I just realized now, so sorry. The next thing we're gonna do is go ahead and work with black eyeshadow. Again, when I was a beginner, oh my god, one of the worst, like my worst nightmare was working with black eyeshadow because I never could master putting black eyeshadow in the outer corner. I would just stay away from it completely. One of my main tips when it comes to black is, again, work with a little bit of product first. Just apply it into the crease first and then work it in that outer corner, and then you can just start your blending. Now, a huge tip when it comes to black eyeshadow is ditch the brush that you just used and go ahead and take a clean one to blend it out. I'm going to take this one because it's clean, and then I'm going to blend it out. Anytime you're working with blending, is like circular motion is amazing, or windshield wiper motions. But when it comes to dark shades, I really like the circular motion. Now, another thing that I will do sometimes is go back into that smaller, more precise, but still super fluffy brush. And I'll go back into Creme Brulee, the second transition shade that we use, and I will tilt my brush really like this, just so that I don't get any of this color directly on the black. But I want to go in between, you see right here, in between the black and the transition shade. I kind of want to, let me put my mirror closer. I kind of want to work with that a little bit more. And then again, I always love to take the no product fluffy brush and blend it out, blend it out, blend it out. Because it can't hurt. Like, it can't hurt if you just blend the entire eye look. Moving on to the don'ts when it comes with black eyeshadow. Like I said, your biggest mistake is going on and taking too much and then going ahead and directly applying the outer V shade without blending it at all. But also I will give you guys a little bit of an example of blending it out and not taking your time and just kind of rushing in, doing it super quickly, and even blending it out with the same brush you applied the black eyeshadow with, of how messy it can start to get. You can even see that doing it super quickly made the black spread underneath here for no reason, just because I was trying to rush and do it quickly. So just take your time, go slowly. I always feel like if I'm ever in a rush and I gotta do my makeup quickly, I ain't working with dark eyeshadows. Not doing it because they take too much time to blend out. So don't rush with dark eyeshadow. I always like to go ahead and take the same step I did on the top and place it on the bottom. Take Peach Smoothie again and do the same thing you did before. Apply that transition. I like to usually start applying it from the outer again to the inner, just to avoid splotches of color. So onto the don't side, I'm gonna take the same dirty brush that has black on it. This is a huge don't because whatever's left all over on here is gonna spread back on. So you wanna make sure you're working with clean brushes. I'm gonna go ahead and not even bother putting a transition. I'm just gonna go straight in with Americano. I'm not gonna bother doing any transition shades, just straight in with the dark shade and apply that on the lower lash line. This is gonna leave a super harsh unblended effect, so I definitely don't recommend doing this. And as you can see, there was leftover black on the eyeshadow brush. So as you can see, it kind of spread up and it looked super messy now. Back to the do side. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take Latte, which was that third color I put, and I'm gonna go ahead and pop that on as well. All these colors just work together to give a super ombre blended effect. I'm gonna take Americano. So we're gonna keep it on the outer corner, and I am just going to work side to side. And then what I will do, just so that it doesn't look too harsh, is I will take whatever's left over and just kind of blend it into the inner corner. Then when it comes to working with black on the lower lash line, I always like to take a super tight brush. I don't like to work with too fluffy of a brush for black on the lower lash line because I will get kind of black all over here. And again, keep it on that outer corner. You can go back and take the same first brush that you used with those transition colors And just go ahead and blend that black out. And again, don't be afraid to go back in with creme brulee and finish off the lower lash line. Onto the don't side, I'm going to go right in with the black eyeshadow, and I'm not going to bother switching over to a clean brush. I'm just going to go and apply that straight on there and not blend at all or bother switching over to a clean brush. So onto the dews side, we're going to go ahead and apply the lid shade, but I'm going to apply it wet. What that's going to do is go ahead and intensify it. I like to apply it in sweeper motions because I find that you get a smoother base that way. Now you can also use your finger, which is probably one of my favorite things to do. I'll take my pinky because it's smaller so I get more precision. And just apply that. Now onto the don't side, I'm not even going to bother wetting the brush. I'm just going to pat it on like this and just kind of apply it really quickly and messy. And as you can see, you don't really get as much pigment payoff. So for the dew side, we're going to apply an inner corner highlight. I like to do this sometimes. It just looks super pretty and brightens up the eye look. I'm just going to go ahead and start right at the direct inner corner. And you can either keep it there or you can really kind of bring it out, which is what I like to do. Because I like a kind of stark inner corner. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. And for the don't side, I'm just going to go ahead and apply way too much, and it's going to look super kind of harsh and ashy once it goes combined with the black. So when it comes to winged eyeliner, I like to almost sometimes rest my fingers on here if that ever helps, and then work from outer corner of the eye. Just give yourself a good flick, just a good old flick, and then take the top of that flick and bring it down. And then all of a sudden you have that wing. So all you need to really do is fill it in now. And then now that you have your wing, all that you need to do is go ahead and create a line that's going to match up to the wing. And just meet it. Kind of let the two meet, and then I'll gradually do a thinner line in that inner corner. Now onto the don'ts side. One of my biggest don'ts for eyeliner is don't do your eyeliner too skinny. I know a lot of the times people are kind of afraid to make it too thick, but the problem with being too afraid is you probably make it a little too skinny. One of my favorite tricks for mascara is taking your mirror that you're looking into and tilting it if possible, so that way you're literally like applying your mascara looking from down up. Like a don't for mascara, I would say, is to clump it up way too much. For me, I just don't like when it looks super spidery, like, and super clumpy and bumpy. So for this step, I like to, instead of how for the top I had my mirror angled very upwards, now I'm going to take my mirror and angle it really downwards. Because this is gonna, again, make sure you see that root area. And then on this side, we're just barely gonna even put any on. And one of my biggest tips for this part, open up my eye. Blink if you need to, but open up my eye really wide and kind of even fan it if you need to. What this is gonna do is it's going to dry that area. Because if that area is wet, when you go to apply the product, it's not going to go on fully pigmented. So now that it's kind of a little bit dry as it can get, because I have really watery eyes, now I'll go ahead and apply it. So now for the don'ts side, one thing that I definitely don't recommend, a fully lined black eye, like from top to bottom, just because I find it looks so harsh and there's just so much contrast. I also don't recommend taking the eyeliner and just putting it on the lower part here, because what that does is, again, it just makes it so super duper hard. So that pretty much completes this eyeshadow do's and don'ts. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Did you learn anything? I really hope you did, because that's the reason why I love doing these videos, just so that I can help anyone out there if they want a couple tips on how I personally like to do my eye makeup. So if you guys do want some more beginner helpful kind of tips videos or more do's and don'ts, then like, thumbs up this video, and I will definitely do more. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys. Mwah.